What's good, y'all, and welcome to a new video series here on Rosemary Media where we look at a current series or saga or a universe and we watch all the movies and shows and come up with a definitive ranking of how we favor them. How we decided to do this is so that it's fair is we all made our own individual lists, we averaged them all together, and then we got an overall ranking as a whole thanks to our spreadsheet machine over here, Andrew Bartlett. So yeah, that's spoiled what was next, and actually it's already spoiled because this is a video and you're watching it, so you know who's with me. I got Uncle Kev, I got Andrew, the shorthand man Bartlett, and Corey Barkley, aka HK. How are you fellas doing today?
Hi. Good.
Wonderful.
Happy to be here.
This is let's see, what crossover do we have? We only have Kevin and HK on a thing for the first time together. All of the rest of us have been on a thing, so
True.
This is the bench casters. No, the party
funny
points.
funny benchers.
Funny benchers.
No, it's just,
This is Rosemary Media.
none of it works. All right, so a little explanation as to how we're going to do this. Bartlett, of course, he's the keeper of the list. He's our master exceller, our spreadsheet zaddy, our number one, our number crunching king. He's the one that knows what this list looks like. We all submitted our individual rankings to him in secret. So like, I don't know what HK's list. I don't know what Bartlett's list is. Only Bartlett knows like what the overall is right now. So he's gonna read us the list one by one. We're probably gonna do it in chunks at first, and then once it gets down to the nitty gritty, near the top of the list, we'll probably slow it down just so we have more time to digest it all. We'll argue, we'll defend as we go along. So. Before I do start, though, I do want to point out that this show will continue on in more than one way as well. We plan on recording a new video every time a new piece of content is released. So for the MCU, like we're doing right now, we're going to do another episode of this when we do Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Well, it's essentially going to serve as like our review of that show, and then we kind of fit it in wherever we're going to fit it. I think we'll do it the same way. We'll each rank it in our own list, send that to Bartlett again so that he can average it out and like get the overall ranking that way. That way it's always fair, it's always consistent. So we'll do that for Falcon and Winter Soldier, we'll do that for Loki, and then we'll do that for Black Widow, the next movie that's going to be coming out, and so on. And not only with MCU though, we're also planning on doing it with Star Wars. That's the next series we're going to do this for. We're going to watch all of the Star Wars movies, season 1 of Mandalorian and season 2 of Mandalorian. We're going to rank those out as well, and then we'll keep the Star Wars one going. So when the Obi-Wan show, when the Lando show, whatever movies come in the future, those will get ranked in and reviewed as we go on with those as well. So
And all of the Clone Wars.
No Clone Wars. We'll do like a little bonus section where we can talk about the things that we didn't list if we really need to.
Good, because I need some space to talk about the Ewok adventure movies.
What, Kevin, what is this? These vintage like classic Disney Plus things that are up right now?
Oh, so it's like it's exactly what it sounds like. They've got like the 2 Ewok adventure movies that are not like technically canon, but they don't really change anything. There's no like main narrative characters in it or anything, and then there was like
side story.
Like a side story, and then like a spin-off before spin-offs really existed in media, and
they're all like these weird like old school like animated shit.
No, the Ewok adventures are live action,
so those ones are. I'm talking about the animated ones.
There's an animated Ewok show, there's a droid animated show, then there's that animated short from the Star Wars holiday special. They're just all canon? Vintage stuff. So the Star Wars holiday special one, I guess, is it's the introduction of Boba Fett. So it's the first time you meet Boba Fett.
It's an origin story.
We'll figure it out.
We will figure it out.
Is there anything you guys want to say before we kick things off? Is there anything you want to get off your chest before we start this thing, or we want to jump right into it?
Let's jump in.
I'm ready to jump.
All right, without further ado, Bartlett, let's get this thing moving. We told Bartlett we want him to paste the list into the chat so that we can see it as we go along, so we're not constantly asking questions. So let's do this thing.
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right. Well, coming in at number 24, because yes, we're including WandaVision, correct, boys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, TV shows, movies, pretty much anything that comes out from here on out.
Gotcha. So, starting at number 24, consensus ranking puts us with Thor: Dark World.
Hey, yeah, it's the worst piece of shit. I can hate that movie. I will tell you this. It's the only movie when we watched through these that we paused it after maybe 30 minutes and just fast forwarded the rest of the thing and read some Wikipedia shit. Because, like, I do not care about that subject matter. Man, I couldn't care less about that movie.
Yeah. So funny fact is the first 4 that I'm about to read, I had the exact same ranking as consensus. So
Wow.
there you go. I'm the middle ground, I guess. All right, so moving on, 23 comes in with The Incredible Hulk.
That's where I had it.
Mr. Norton's version. I don't know. I got nothing to say on this. I've only ever watched it once and will never watch it again because why bother?
It didn't make my rewatch, and I didn't feel like I needed it.
Now, Kevin, you sent me your list like weeks ago, so I had this before I sent it over to Bartlett, and I know you had that shit higher than this.
Yeah, I have it 19.
Yeah. Why? Why do you think it's above like a bunch of other ones for you?
I think I have a soft spot for that one a little bit because you got to remember, like, the MCU was not the MCU when The Incredible Hulk came out. And that's really, to me, the first movie that felt like they were building a connected universe. It's got the after credits scene with Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, like, I like Ed Norton. I thought he did a fine job there. It's the introduction of General Ross, who will become a character in later parts of it. So, I mean, I kind of have a soft spot for that one. And I think it's less problematic than I remembered. It's definitely better than the Thor of the Dark World.
Yeah. I think the only reason that I had it like so low at 23 with the consensus is just that it was a different character, and that pulls me out of it. You know what I mean? That's not a fault of the movie. Like, I know I should be able to rank it like as a movie, but it's just hard to when like you're so used to somebody else being the Hulk. And I didn't watch this when it was released, so like this was the last movie I watched. At first I didn't rank it. I wasn't going to include it when Megan and I did our watch through, but then once I was done and we decided we were going to include it, I went back and watched it. So after watching all those movies without him, I was just like, nah.
I kind of remember like how it made me feel when it came out though. And I watched it in the theater and I remember the movie just being like, it's okay. Like it's fine. It's got some good action scenes, like, but it's overall like just okay. But then when they do the scene with Tony Stark at the end, I remember just being like, oh, because you got to think like back in 2007, like we didn't do that shit. Like that didn't happen. Like you didn't see characters from other movies in other movies. Like they didn't cross over. There weren't like,
post credit
universes. Yeah.
Was that the first time that like your dick and nips got hard at the same time?
First time what now?
The first time your dick and nips got hard at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the first, any kind of reference to the fact that they were going to do a bunch of connected stuff,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was cool. So you ready for 22? 22 is Iron Man 2.
Okay.
Nobody really deviated too far of that. I mean, Corey Putney, you were highest on it at 20, but
yeah, I think that was just like I remember that movie well. Not all these movies I saw in theaters. This movie I did. I remember. I think it came out when our theater here in town was closed, so I had to go to Syracuse to watch this. I don't remember who I was with. Probably Jared, but I remember just watching it in theaters there. So I guess I had just more of like a nostalgia attachment to it. So I put it a tiny bit higher, but I mean 20 is still not that high.
Okay, well, moving on pretty quickly. 21.
Wait, Bartlett.
Yes, sir.
Not Bartlett. HK. Do the quote.
Not my bird.
Not my bird. I want my bird.
I want my bird.
It's probably the only good thing that came out of that movie.
That's why it's 20 for that scene.
It's number 23 for me. You know what pissed me off the most? When fucking Tony Stark he steals that Indy car.
It's his Indy car.
Just because he's the sponsor, just because he owns it. He's not the racer.
He owns a car. He employs the driver. He employs the crew.
Would you expect Jeff Bezos to jump into a...
Yeah, dog.
Yeah. Who's a NASCAR driver?
Listen. No, that's a good analogy. If Jeff Bezos was to walk out into the track and be like, I'm racing this car, to whatever guy was racing that Amazon car, he'd be like, all right, dog, like, take it.
Dog.
It would never happen.
He'd be like, am I still getting paid?
Money equals power, dude. We all know that.
Unbelievable.
All right, so 21, we're going to go with, I believe, the third release in the MCU with the first Thor. Just Thor.
Yeah. I had it 22 on my list, so like the bottom's looking like it should.
You and HK had it 22, Kevin and I had it 21, so I mean there's really there's a wash right there. All right.
And I got to be honest, I felt bad ranking it that low because I do kind of like that movie, but just on balance versus all the other stuff, it's not as good.
I like every scene where he's like on Earth. In the second they fucking go up there, I'm just like, I don't care anymore.
I think I just find that I'm not a huge Thor fan. I like Chris Hemsworth, but I don't gravitate towards the character.
Yeah, I just don't gravitate toward the whole, gods and mythology. That's all that stuff. Just like never interested me in any sort of content whatsoever. So it's just like when that's what these movies are based on, like I can't get into it. Where the other Thor movie that doesn't fully dive into that stuff, I'm sure is ranked a lot higher.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. So you ready for number 20?
Can I guess it?
I'll let you guess this one.
Iron Man 3.
Anybody else want to dispute that guess?
That was my number 20.
It is Iron Man 3 coming in at number 20. Kevin the lowest with it at 24, which he had it dead last.
I had it dead last.
Kevin, you know it deserves at least 5 spots up because it takes place during Christmas, dude. Like it's a Christmas movie. Christmas movie.
I don't feel the same way as you do about Christmas, as you know.
You say that, but you only had it at 21.
Nobody really does, Kevin.
I know. That's all I could do because everything above it, I just couldn't justify it. But Kevin, you just wait until the new Spider-Man movie comes out this December, and that's a Christmas movie. Nothing says Yuletide cheer like fucking Spider-Man slinging around New York City,
That's true, yes.
I was highest on Iron Man 3 at 18, but that's what kind of bumped it. It might be 21, 22 if I didn't have it so high, but you guys ready for 19?
I didn't like the whole PTSD Iron Man.
All right. Let me filter so it get easier to look at this stuff. We're up to what, 19? 19 is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ooh. It's exactly where I had it.
Woof.
Kevin, did you have it a lot higher?
I had it a lot higher, but I had it at 16.
Yeah.
The only thing it has going for it for me is Paul Rudd. Like everything.
That's a lot. That's a lot for a movie to have going for it.
Who's the other guy too, Kevin? When I posted something on Twitter, you tagged him. He has the same kind of energy as me.
Michael Pena?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So those two together are what keep it at, 19 for me. Yep. But like as far as plot and everything else goes, I was not into this movie. I just it didn't grab me.
You don't care about the quantum realm?
So that's what I was going to say. 14.
I was going to say I think the fact that it sets up the quantum realm, which will end up being a huge part of the MCU later on. That's what gets it a little bit higher for me. Like I'll grant you, Corey, the plot itself is maybe a little bit lacking, but its place in the MCU, I think it deserves to be higher because of how important it is.
I guess it does have importance to it. It's just, the plot itself, like him going after his wife and stuff. It's like, I don't care about them as characters because I don't know. I just feel like they're not going to have anything to do with this going forward. And none of it mattered until now. And I just don't have that attachment toward them. So I'm more interested in Paul Rudd and his family, or Ant-Man and his family and his daughter and everything like that. Like that's the family and the story I'm interested in. And the focus of it wasn't so much on that. So anything that wasn't, I was out.
So the science didn't make sense to me so much. And I probably 90% of viewers didn't understand the science, right? If it even makes sense at all. But did she not go subatomic? Did she not go subatomic over an ocean, on a missile?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't she still be like in the air or over the ocean when she's subatomic?
But I think you have to accept in this world that the quantum realm doesn't exist in the same space.
There's no
so
space
she could just just because she shrinks so small, she can teleport all of a sudden.
Yeah, because she's in the quantum realm. It's it's literally a realm that exists beyond our normal space. That's why they're able to time travel, not just over time, but in space. I mean, think about when they enter the quantum realm in Endgame, they're able to go to all these different planets and all this
pick
other
where
stuff.
They want to come out.
I understand the logic. It just doesn't make sense.
Right. I mean, but you're looking for logic in a movie that has,
I know. You're right. It's like watching any of this and being well, when Thanos snapped his fingers, that would fucking happen. You know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, there's certain things I think you have to accept too. Think about we're all going to talk about Star Wars in a few weeks here too. Does anyone ever stop to think of the fact that every single planet has oxygen and the same gravity? Every single one. I mean, I think to your point, Marley, yeah, is the science a little bit shoddy? Yes, but I think in a movie where I can accept a Norse god being a character, I can also accept that a quantum realm beyond normal time and space exists.
All right, I'll accept it. All
right.
I'll enjoy it for what it is. I have to. You're right. I have to.
Send an email to the writers.
Yeah,
I have a qualm.
My letter is going to change the course of the multiverse.
Number 18.
Number 18, boys. We're going to get with our first group shot movie, whatever you want to call it, and we're coming in with Avengers: Age of Ultron.
That's about right.
Not the first one, but the first one ranked.
I had mine a little higher.
Kevin had it as high as 13. The rest of us had it at 16, 17, 18, and it comes in at 18 by averages. So, any discussion points?
That movie, it gave us a lot. You know what I mean, as far as characters and story in the future, but it also taketh away. You know,
I only had it at 16. I think because of Vision.
That's
Andy
why I
Weils,
had it as high. Yeah,
Andy Weils Mueller, which is kind of badass.
The introduction of Vision, introduction of Wanda were the biggest takeaways I had from it. You know,
especially coming off of WandaVision, like seeing how important it was that we introduce those characters so that we get something like WandaVision. It's like, that's why it is so high for me. But dog, it's just.
I did my best to make my list where basically how I felt on my last rewatch. I tried not to think about how I felt when I first watched it or how the plot points in the movie connect the overall universe. So I wanted to see how I felt I think it was just in November, December when Allie and I just rewatched it. And try not to put too much other bias into it.
Kevin, what I had it higher for you than us?
Well, I think I thought of it from kind of the same angle where I wanted to think not so much how I felt when I originally watched it, but how do I feel about it now? I rewatched it halfway through watching WandaVision. And to me, there are parts of it that I think held more weight knowing where WandaVision was going to end up. But also for me, I mean, as I look at my list, one thing that really drags it down for me is that we keep hearing more and more about what a dirtbag Joss Whedon is. And like there's parts of his dirtbaggery that you can see on screen in the two Avengers movies that he's involved in. So for me, that drags it down for sure. But I think, WandaVision almost is tugging it up for me because I love those characters so much now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the movie didn't really have any strong females. Yeah, it had Wanda, but she was still kind of like conflicted, and then she was part she's kind of bad at the same time too. Black Widow, it was more concerned about her love story and
she's
and
like the
Hulk's
caretaker in that.
Yeah, and didn't actually act like the strong woman character that she should be. And Tony Stark's wife wasn't there, girlfriend at the time. Oh, they were broken up in this movie, I think.
Yeah.
And then Thor's girlfriend, she's not there either. I remember they had that conversation at the beginning about oh yeah, she's here and she's there, kind of making a joke of the fact that they're not in this movie because it's when it comes down for paying people, it's they had to pay for the ones that you needed in this movie, and who cares about these side characters? I don't know. It seems there's a lot of it seems disrespectful, and
it's crazy though that the MCU gets to a point where Age of Ultron's not that long ago, but they probably did have to make some financial decisions that involved certain actors. But then we get all the way up to Endgame, and they're just like, we're going to have every single actor who's even been remotely close to the Marvel Universe in this movie. Some of them won't even have lines. We're just to have an actor like Michelle Pfeiffer be in Endgame and have 0 lines, but they did it anyway.
But they couldn't put in Corey's boy Michael Pena.
Hey, where was he?
That's true.
Hey,
where was my boy?
I would have loved to see him come out of the portal. All right, so moving on to 17, we take it back to the 40s?
No,
30s. Captain America: First Avenger, the first Captain America movie.
That's pretty high, exactly where I had it, number 17.
Me too.
That is exactly where Kevin had it, exactly where Corey had it. HK, you had it at 12. Please explain yourself.
I did have it in 12.
Spicy.
I think it's the best origin story of. Well, I'm gonna say re-looking at my list real quick. I don't know. It's a great coming of age, I guess, referencing age from scrawny to brawnness, I guess. But
scrawny to brawny.
Scrawny the brownie. It
like
just shows like how confident Cap is, even as like a little tiny
Mhm.
shit. When he's like in an alleyway, he's like getting his ass kicked, and he's like, well, if I gotta fight, I gotta fight.
So I will admit, like, I used to have this higher because I'm right there with you. Like, I really, really like this movie. I think it's a great origin story.
Mhm.
And I remember in the beginning, I think up until Guardians of the Galaxy, like, it stayed number one and it never left. And then as time went on, it started moving down and down and down. And I think it's because it was I watched it in timeline order. So the second movie I watched, so it just kind of I kind of like started to forget about it. And it was kind of an afterthought as I went on. So if I watched them in a different order, maybe reverse order, maybe it'd be higher because it would be more fresh when I put it in the ranking. But I don't know. I still love it. It's just like some of these movies are all so goddamn good that it's hard. Like even when you really like a movie, it ends up at the bottom.
I gotta say, like, I love the period piece aspect of this. I think that's really neat. It's unique in that way that it's one of only 2 Marvel movies that kind of deal with a different era that I think is really, really cool. But also, to be fair, as we get through this list, I mean, for me, I'm looking at my list. Everything that I have ranked 18 and higher, I would say I legitimately like these movies.
Yeah, they're all bangers.
Yeah. Same. Love. You know, like we're now to the part where the bottom like 5 or so for me are movies that like I don't really enjoy, or like ones like Iron Man 3 that I legitimately hate. Where everything from here on out, like I love these movies. So
I think
it's hard
it would have been
rank.
interesting if I would have taken the time to like actually tier out these rankings, and I bet like. Because like I could see my 1, 2, and 3 being a tier of its own, where I could see it any which way. I could see 5 through 8 being a tier of its own. And,
I thought about.
I think it would have been cool if I would have done it that way, but I guess we could see with the way they average out where our consensus tiers are. So
yeah.
All right, let's go.
What are we up to? We're up to 16. Are we not? All right, 16, and this is the first one that I think we have the biggest discrepancy from whoever has them ranked the lowest and the highest.
I feel like they were going to get a lot of that now because of what Kevin just said about how we all really, really like all these movies. So like my 3 could be your 15. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So at number 16, we come in with Iron Man 1 with HK being the lowest on it at 21. I had it at 20, but Kevin had it at number 5.
Wow.
Top 5er for you, Kevin.
God damn, I get it. Trust me. Being outside of Hulk, the one that started it all, like, there was no MCU until there was Iron Man, but as a movie, it's just everything. And I really tried to rank it higher, but when I was looking at my list, I had it at 14 is what I had my Iron Man at. And everything above it, I'm just like, I think the way I looked at it was if I had to watch any of these movies a second time, I picked all of those over this one.
Yeah, I'm at the point where like every time I rewatch Iron Man 1, of course, it's the one I've seen the most. It's the first one. I find myself basically fast forwarding through the whole cave scenes and just getting to when he gets back to the States.
Tony Stark built this to the cave
from there. And I think that's a big reason why I ranked it so low. It's just like, maybe because I could just basically quote that movie verbatim.
With a box of scraps.
Can I just say that this thing where you guys fast forward through movies, what is that?
Don't say you guys, Kevin. I don't do that.
Okay, HK doesn't do it. All right.
Only Thor the Dark World. Only, okay? Well, we're doing a Star Wars rewatch right now. I just watched The Phantom Menace and the goddamn Attack of the Clones all the way through without fast forwarding. It was only Thor the Dark World.
Attack of the Clones, number 1.
Get out of here.
Just kidding.
Fast forwarding movies. I've never in my life. Why do I have it ranked so high? I mean, for everything you guys just said, like I think it started the whole thing. It's fresh to me, but it also is a movie that I think I love that it sets such a tone for who Tony is going to be as a character and his redemption story.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like a mini redemption story within this, but it doesn't redeem him to the full extent where his character arc is done, which I think is so brilliant about that one specifically, that it takes the time to let you in on this character, let you know about all his faults, and then we're going to not quite bring him full circle and leave you wanting more. And I think in that way, it's so unique that, like, I think HK was just talking about, like, the arc that that Steve goes through in the first Captain America is really nice, but like ultimately his arc finishes in that movie, and then he is Captain America for the remainder, whereas Tony has so much more growth. And I think that Iron Man sets it up so well in a way that they could not have known that they were about to spawn this massive universe, but they did it anyway. Because think about if that movie had not done well, and even Jon Favreau is on record saying, like, we didn't know what was going to happen. Like, it came out the same year as like The Dark Knight, and Batman was king at the time, and we could have made one Iron Man movie, and that was it. And they still were like, no, we're going to leave you wanting more, whether you get more or not.
What I'm seeing in most of this is that, Kevin, you think very big picture with all of this. Like, you're definitely looking more of just like how these movies affected everything else. Obviously, if that was true, then Iron Man would be number one. So it's not completely that, but that is weighing heavy on your choices.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For me, I want to look at the full picture, where I want to know, like, it's not for me just about how much I enjoy this piece. It's how does this piece fit into the overall narrative? What does it contribute to the MCU as a whole? And in that way, I feel like that's how I like to rank things.
Yep.
That's why I had mine the lowest at 21. And that's why I prefaced a little bit earlier that when I ranked these, I went strictly based off how I felt at right after I watched the movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like Tony's like billionaire playboy, cocky asshole. Obviously, that we know that's what he is. That's what he grew from. But I didn't feel like this movie portrayed that, or I didn't feel like that aged well, I guess. And I was like cringing at a lot of parts in this movie on the rewatch, especially a lot of like the Middle Eastern parts. Not to get PC, because I'm not offended by it. I just feel like
I think that's probably plays into why I fast forward through that first quarter of the movie or whatever it is.
Well. I don't know. But,
look at Kevin's eyes when you mentioned fast forwarding. only Thor: The Dark World.
But if I was thinking about it as like it was the first movie, it was John Favreau. I probably would have ranked it at least in the top 10 based off of that, but it didn't. I wanted to get through it as quickly as possible.
That's what's so good about like doing this overall ranking, because I think we're getting like, we all approach these lists differently. We all like had our own like means of why we ranked them as we did. So we're getting like this general consensus of it all. So that's why I think I like this. Let's go. 15.
I'm fine with landing
number
at 16.
Number 15. We're going back to I guess a franchise that we already kind of seen. We're going to Ant-Man 1 at number 15.
I had it 13.
Yeah, well, it came out at 15. Kevin had it 11. I had it at 16. So this isn't a mini tier with the next movie we're about to read, but it did come in just slightly lower. So
anything we want to say?
Wait, hold up.
It was a movie.
I really like it. It's just a fun movie. It's like, I feel like it's one of the first like really funny movies that came from Marvel, and it's just like Paul Rudd's there, Michael Pena's there, and it's just, I'm all in on this movie. Like this, again, the Ant-Man character itself, not the most interesting Avenger of them all, but like it's just fun. It's entertaining,
I think I remember when they first announced this movie was going to be made. I think I remember even texting HK and be like, "Why that character?"
Ant-Man?
Like,
but it worked.
Who the fuck's Ant-Man? Why is that even a relevant character? But yeah, you're right. It's absolutely fun. They cast the right guys for the roles, and boom.
Do you ever think about like the movie we could have had, though?
What do you mean?
What? Well, because this movie changed directors.
Edgar Wright
was the director.
It would have been so good.
I know, and I feel like I do really enjoy Ant-Man, but there's a part of me that thinks like, what got left on the cutting room floor there? Like, and I don't want to do like a Snyder cut thing here. I don't need to release the right cut.
You're telling me I could have gotten a Scott Pilgrim ass Ant-Man?
Yes.
God damn it. What could have been?
I know.
I love it.
Think what could have been. That would have been Corey's number 1.
Yeah, honestly, Scott Pilgrim is just so good. Like Edgar Wright just, oh yeah, dude, that would have been
Scott Pilgrim is.
Let's move on. Let's move on before I get too mad about this.
Number 14, my girl, Captain Marvel.
Okay, I had it at number
14. We're all pretty close. I had it at 12. Putney had it at 12. HK had it at 11. Kevin lowest at 18 with Captain Marvel. Comments, concerns from the Peanut Gallery.
I really like this movie. I love the 90s theme of it all. I love her. Just a great movie.
I love Nick Fury with 2 eyes. I mean,
I love the kitty cat. You know what I'm saying?
I love the Flargon. Yeah.
I love how it makes the neckbeards feel.
I love seeing a blockbuster for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, was this the first time that you had like the female lead like in a Marvel movie, right?
Yeah.
Yes. No.
We had Maria Rambeau.
Yeah.
Female lead, yeah. I mean, wait, this was 2019.
In
if you consider you could consider. Do you consider Gamora as a lead, or no? Not really, because it's an ensemble.
Hell no.
All right,
No, it's an ensemble.
then definitely first one.
I mean, at this point, she's still the only one because outside of that is Black Widow, and that's not out yet. So
okay, you're right.
Jesus Christ. Marvel's getting it together, but they didn't have it all together. And again, I understand. It was the studio telling them basically just like it's not going to sell. Like Kevin said, those fucking neckbeards aren't gonna have it with a female lead in their superhero movies. But you know what? They stuck it to them, and suck it, fellas. It's happening.
They already did it to my Star Wars, not my Marvel now.
You're telling me that Rey's gonna be the lead character?
All right, moving on.
Not if me and my truck have anything to say about it.
Oh, God. All right, moving on. Number 13, 2012 flick, The Avengers. The one we were waiting for the first 5 years.
Dang.
The first get together, and it comes in at number 13.
Where did we all have this? Tell me right now.
So
who did this?
I had it at 9.
I did it.
You had it at 7.
I did.
We're going to have to ask these two why they had it at 18 and 14.
Whoa!
Especially HK at 18.
I'll go first.
Go, please. By all means.
It's not that deep. I had it at 18. I actually had it below. I ranked Age of Ultron higher.
Yeah, me too.
Jesus fuck.
Yes, it's the first moment. It's the first ensemble. They don't really work together throughout the entire movie, except for a couple scenes. I don't know. It didn't really give me any like good feelings in this. Like there was not a whole lot of story other than like they were starting to realize maybe that the government that they're working for is trying to like work against them, but then they dip more into Age of Ultron, which I like that part of it more. And then the big New York City battle, it's kind of drawn out. Like I said, they don't fight together during most of that. It's just the big alien in the portal in the sky.
For me, the fact that they don't at all during the movie until that final scene, it was just that's what builds it. You know what I mean? That's what builds the anticipation of like that final scene when it had the the camera goes around in circles and shows them all singing back to back.
And I love that scene. And like Kevin said, like once you get to a point in this list, everything above it is like. You love all these movies, so I had to put this one somewhere. And if that scene's the only thing that did it for me in this movie, that's just it landed at.
So I think a lot of it, I did definitely have nostalgia playing a role in this one because I remember watching this on the night it came out. I got off work at FYE at 9:00. I went to like a 10:00 showing, packed theater. Like it was amazing to watch, like in a room full of Marvel fans. And not only that, but it's like I loved Loki as the villain simply because like this seemed like it was one of the first Marvel movies where. If the villain was somebody that we were already introduced to. So it's not just like an origin story where it's like, hey, we're going to introduce a villain and then he's going to get beaten and then this person wins. It's like you actually had the growth of, we saw him in Thor and everything. And then finally it gets to this movie and, it's more of a build. And I liked that it started to feel like it was coming together. And this was the movie that did that.
The introduction of Thanos too. And that was kind of a throwaway thing too. There's like a little bit of trivia that you can find on IMDb that Joss Whedon thought it didn't quite make sense that Loki would do this by himself. So they kind of added it slightly after the fact that it was Thanos that was behind everything. And I think that it was like one of the other writers or somebody like suggested Thanos as a character and Whedon was just like, okay, sure. And then
was he the same actor, right?
No, like Josh Brolin doesn't come in until
you
don't hear his voice even until Guardians, I think.
Yeah.
And like even that, I don't know if it's Josh Brolin doing the voice thing.
There's one post-credit scene where he speaks and it's not Josh Brolin. Other than that,
because he says like, "Fine, I'll do it myself" or something like that.
Right. Yep. That's exactly
Which I think is Guardians because Ronan the Accuser was
exactly.
But this was after This was after the Avengers came out, correct? That they even
Correct.
introduced, even incepted Thanos into it.
Well, yeah, because in Avengers you just see his face, and I remember having to Google who that was.
See, I don't even remember seeing his
purple
face.
guy in space.
Yeah,
I guess
Grimace in space.
I blend some of the movies in my mind.
Okay,
Number
so
12.
according
All
to
right.
sorry, real quick, according to IMDb, Josh Brolin has been playing Thanos since Guardians. He did do the voice in Guardians, but he's uncredited.
Cool.
All right, number 12. We're gonna kick it to Queens, New York, with Spider-Man: Far From Home. And I say Queens, but really they're abroad in that movie. So take it away at number 12.
Spider-Man Far From Home was number 15 for me, which like is disappointing because Spider-Man is probably my favorite of all superheroes. Like the combo of Spider-Man and Miles Morales too, not in this movie, but I mean in general are like my two favorite superheroes. Just love Spider-Man. And this movie just didn't really do it for me. Like I like my Spider-Man in New York City flying around, you know what I mean? And then you take him out of there and you put him on this class trip and it's just like I lost interest. I really didn't care. And like the whole Jake Gyllenhaal's villain, nah. Like
really, I love that. I love Mysterio's villain.
I like the ending when like he was like doing all this mind tricks and he didn't know where he was and all that shit was going on. But just like I loved him as a nice guy. I loved him in the beginning when he thought that he was on his side, and I was just like, man, I really like this character. And then when the twist happens, and he turns into like he turns his back on him.
Makes him a great villain.
But he doesn't even turn into like I like a villain that's just like badass and scary and cool like Thanos. A villain like Mysterio who's just kind of like cocky and annoying and just like kind of a baby. Like
he's a villain for the modern world though. He's like he's Elon Musk as a villain.
Yeah,
yeah. It's just there was something so bratty about him that was just like I found really annoying. And I don't know. Like I wanted to love this movie because I love Spider-Man and I love Jesus Christ,
Tom Holland
so much, and it's just that it was kind of a letdown for me, especially coming off of Endgame. I remember seeing it at the drive-ins right after Endgame and just being like, okay, like this is fine, but it's just we were on such a high.
So I have this one number 9, and I really like it a lot. I think that you can almost make like a little mini quadrilogy out of Homecoming, and then Avengers Infinity War, then Avengers Endgame, and then Spider-Man Far From Home, to see this like really amazing arc for Peter that sets up who he will be in Spider-Man No Way Home. So I think that for me, its place in the overall narrative, I think is so important. And where you see Far From Home, what's so important about that one is like Peter coming to terms with the fact that he doesn't have to be Tony. Like he can live up to his own ideal, and he doesn't have to. Like, this is really him letting Tony go.
Yeah.
I had it at number 9, too. Honestly, I want to say it's like 75% just based off of the hallucination scene.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
So
That's
gnarly.
what I'm talking about.
In IMAX, watching that for the first time, I was in awe. That was like the best visual experience I've ever had in an IMAX. I watched it again on my TV, and I'm like, this was cool the second time, but it didn't hit as good. It didn't hit as hard, but
so there is a scene in the Spider-Man video game that's like exactly like that, and it's also so good. Kevin, have you gotten there yet?
Yeah, the thing like in front of City Hall there, where you're not
and it
quite
keeps
sure.
going, like it keeps kind of be like when you meet him again, like it keeps doing it more. It's so good, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It's about it. I ranked it higher than Homecoming because I mean it develops the relationship between him and MJ more rather than her just being a little geek friend.
Yeah, and like they're really that was kind of strange where like in Homecoming there was no real sign of him having like any romantic interest in her. And then this movie starts and it's just like he like really misses her and
we also didn't even know she was technically MJ until like what the final couple scenes or whatever.
Yeah. When they were sitting around the table at the end.
They allude to it, but then
when you do the rewatch though, when you've seen Far From Home and you rewatch Homecoming, like it makes a ton more sense that she's into him. Like, it has been the whole time. So
yeah.
So I was a little more towards Putney on that one. I really find Spider-Man to be a very fun character to watch, but it didn't do it for me. I mean, I like everything you guys have said. Like I like the whole hologram type scenes, but the villain really kind of brought that movie down for me, where I just thought he was kind of like.
And that sucks because I love Jake Gyllenhaal, dude.
I do too. But like, so I'm not a comic guy. I never really read the comics or anything. But like, is that what Mysterio is? Is that his actual history,
exactly.
or
of illusions?
Did they just play off of that? And
he's all smoke and mirrors.
It's close. Like I think in the comics, his origin is that he works in like special effects in the movie industry and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't use drones.
Maybe that's part of the reason why I didn't like that him as a villain so much, is because he did it so well. You know what I mean? He really made me dislike him because he played that character so well.
I truly believed he was from an alternate Earth at the beginning, the first time I watched it. So, all right,
number 11.
Number 11, boys. We're gonna go with the mystic arts in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So, I had Doctor Strange at 16.
You had it the lowest. HK and I had it up at number 8. Both of us. Wow. Comes in at number 11 consensus.
Nice. I love Doctor Strange.
It's a subject matter thing for me. The same thing as like gods and stuff. Like I just like the whole vibe of the movie. I didn't really go like get down with, but like I love Doctor Strange as a character, and I loved seeing his origin story because I had not seen this movie before this rewatch. This is one of the ones I just skipped over completely. So like me ranking it this high is like as high as I did. It's just like that's shows that I really really liked him, but I just I don't vibe with that world so much.
Nice.
I mean, I had.
Yeah,
did I have it the highest at 8?
You and I had it both at 8.
I really love this movie. It was really hard for me to place it because obviously, I mean, everything else is just they're all good movies. Eight seemed like the best place to put it.
I was surprised at how much I liked it, how high I put it actually. To be honest with you, because that's how much I liked it.
I had it in my top 5 at first until I rewatched it again after my timeline order watch through, and then I was like, maybe I don't love this movie as much as I thought I did, because there's not a whole lot to the movie.
Right, there's not a lot of action. Like it's very there's boring parts to it, but like it just tells a great story overall. And
cool. It just gave me such an Inception vibe, and I loved Inception. And I think that's what kind of bumped it up for me.
That's what happened way higher for me.
Yeah. I have a feeling that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is probably going to rank a lot higher once we get that into the list, because
absolutely
from everything we're hearing so far,
3, I feel like.
Yeah, from everything we're hearing so far, based on what we get from the first Doctor Strange, if they build off of that and do it the right way, and you've got Sam Raimi and like Christian Bale as the villain, like this movie I think is set up to be something really special. So I hope it comes through.
Yeah, I think half of my ranking was just anticipation for that. So
yeah.
I want a Dormammu spinoff. It's just him.
Dormammu, I've come to barter.
Bargain.
Sorry.
Number 10.
Nerd.
Captain America: Civil War.
I know Corey's the one dragging this down.
It's not Kevin. I had it at number 11.
Actually, I thought he was going to have it way lower than he did. He had 11. I had it at 19.
Easy. I built it up a little bit because I was telling you guys how much like I dislike the whole Civil War-ness of it all. Also, I love that like you've had this discussion about how like the complaints I have with the Civil War, and Kevin shows up at my house on fucking Saturday and gives me a Civil War comic book.
You're borrowing it. I want that back, motherfucker.
I started reading it not last night, but the night before. So we're in. But yeah, no, I the only thing that this movie has going against it for me is just like they should have just talked about it. And I get they're all hotheads and that's the way but like to literally build two separate armies just to fight each other and destroy this airport terminal and just cause thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage, when it's just like, at what point is Captain America like the most like logical, just like reasonable person just going to be like, yo, Tony, like, let's maybe not fuck all this shit up.
Let's do this out in a cornfield,
Yeah, like this is really rude and mean of us. Like I don't know. There's something just very Corey, like unrealistic about that whole part of it. But
you're worried about the damage expenses. Where did you have Avengers 1?
Right?
But they were fighting bad guys. This was them just fighting each other.
But I think again, this goes back to like the Ant-Man Quantum Realm conversation we had before. I think you're looking for logic in a place that we really should not.
I know.
If you have a massive team up movie called Civil War, like one of the things you expect is an all-out brawl, and it's going to happen. And I do think, Corey, once you read through the comic book, you'll see the context that I think the writers knew they had to convey, but couldn't quite fully convey without all the characters. Right. Because a big part of Civil War in the comics is like that the X-Men are fighting for like their very lives. Mm-hmm. Like they don't want to be registered because like it's a biological thing for them.
Like page 2, you got Wolverine in there, and I'm like, this is a very different story.
No, and so it's people like the X-Men, the X-Men that like for them the registration program is just so much more important, and you've got people like Magneto telling them like, don't let them register you, like they already did this to me back in the day, and look how that turned out. Like
and in time I understood all of this, and that's why it's at 11. Like that's why I didn't keep it down low. Like the movie gives us Black Panther, dude. It gives us Spider-Man, and the story itself is a good one, and like it's just the ending is so good, and there's so much good about this movie that I can look past like just the logic of just like, hey, why couldn't you guys just fucking talk about this? You know what I mean? Like I can definitely look past that. I mean, they're all hot-headed superheroes and they fight. That's what they do. That's what their big, strong bodies or their fucking expensive machinery. That's the way they just decided to solve this problem, and it is what it is.
Bartlett, why do you have it so low?
A lot of what Corey said about
I got in his head, dude. That's why.
Honestly, I think he did. I would have put it probably 15 or below, but I think I put it down at what I say 19.
19.
Because kind of he got in my head, but no, he makes a good point. Like it just seemed on a certain level, it just seemed really stupid. It seemed like really stupid. Like they literally just found a reason to make a movie just about them fighting each other.
I should have texted Bartlett like last week and be like, Bartlett, I'm really thinking about it. Endgame fucking sucks, dude.
If you just think about
and also, just so we're clear on the Civil War front, I had it at 3. So
oh shit, okay,
yeah,
and I get it. Like I'm not holding that against anyone, dude. Like that movie, it gives us so much,
Yeah,
all the Black Panther shit is so cool.
Yeah,
all the Spider-Man shit is so cool. I mean, that's Spider-Man's origin right there. That's the only Spider-Man. Like that's the introduction of Spider-Man that we get in this Marvel universe. Yeah. So.
Dude,
it was just so cool seeing
slamming his shield into Tony's arc reactor. Oh my god!
And how that plays into the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier that just happened.
Yep.
I'm still behind.
Are you behind? You piece of shit.
But it's fine. Like that didn't spoil anything.
I'm pushing the headphones farther into my ears. Like
tell me more. Tell me more. No, so in what? Like we only have this Friday and then next Friday, and it's done. So within like 2.5 weeks, we can get together and like redo this. So
I'm not going to spend any time thinking about who the cameo is because I got so burned by it on WandaVision, and they're talking about it, and I'm exhausting no mental. Like anything about I'm not going to think about it.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's probably Kingpin. How cool would that be if it's Kingpin?
So my because my wife is away, that means for the first time since the beginning of the show, I can watch it in the morning because we have to watch it separately this Friday because we won't be together. So I don't have to wait until she gets home from work.
You're not going to be on a Zoom call while you watch it together.
No, separately because I as soon as I wake up in the morning, I'm watching it. Let's move on.
All right, boys. We have reached our first tie in the consensus rankings.
Oh! Which, before this started, I told Bartlett we are having no ties. So, Bartlett, you're going to tell us both of these because they're a tie, so you don't know which one to list first. So, tell us both, and then let's say our pieces as to why we think one should be higher than the other until we come to an agreement.
The first movie in this tie, Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Okay.
The second movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 2! Break the tie, boys! Break the tie!
No, I can't! This is the problem. HK, we had this discussion so many times.
Many times.
In the conclusion that we came up with when we last had this discussion, I reverted
2.
on it and I changed them, and I have Guardians 1 above Guardians 2.
Guardians
Where
2
does everybody have these ranked? I want to see how this math works out.
Kevin, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is number 4. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is number 5.
All right, so I have Guardians of the Galaxy at 15 and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at 20.
I knew that was coming because you sent me your list. HK, where did you have Guardians and Guardians 2?
Guardians 1 is at 7.
Uh-huh.
Guardians 2 is at 5. Top 5.
Whoa. And I had Guardians 1 at 10 and Guardians 2 at 6. So HK and I like 2 over 1 and you two both like 1 over 2. But Putney is like right 4 and 5.
So hold on. Let me hear me out. Like Guardians 1, again, this was part nostalgia. I watched this in theaters opening night. I loved everything about it. Like I wanted all the action figures. I wanted more of this universe. I wanted a Guardians of the Galaxy video game. We got a Telltale one, but that doesn't count. I love Guardians 1 just because it tells the story of them. However, Guardians 2 has Baby Groot, dog.
I had Baby Groot as the anchor pulling Guardians 2 down to 24.
No.
I do not care for Baby Groot.
Oh my god!
I gotta say, Ego as the villain, like that didn't do anything for me really.
So I will agree with you there. Like as a villain, didn't care. Like I like the story of that being his dad or whatever, but like I wish it would have gone in some different direction where there was an actual other villain. But
his actual son is John Walker, right?
Nice. HK, what saves the movie though? What is the ultimate scene in this movie that makes it as great as it is?
Yondu sacrificing himself for.
Oh my god, that was the deal breaker.
Right there. Good.
It's the only scene.
I cried every time I watched that scene. I cried.
I actually do.
Megan and I was getting ready to leave for work. She was getting ready to do something. We were standing as that movie was finishing and like looked over at each other, and both of us had fucking tears in our eyes. Like it's just the whole story arc together, just of like him trying to find his dad, and like and his dad ended up being a dickhole, and then like just realizing that Yondu has been there his entire life and kind of served as his father, and then like realizing that his father is now sacrificing himself for him. It just all comes together so well. And in the meantime, we get fucking Drax being funnier than he's ever been, dude. He steals that movie. He's so funny. And then the fucking weird girl with the antennas, the little, just the
Mantis,
the power that those two have against each other, so good. Gamora and Star-Lord coming together, all of it just all comes together.
I think besides Thor Ragnarok, it's like the second best quoted movie too.
I was gonna say, hey HK, you look like Mary Poppins. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yondu saying he may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. Like,
oh my god,
love it. And then Peter Quill saying you shouldn't have killed my mom and squished my Walkman.
So
I love it.
Based on all of this, I am willing to say Guardians 2 over Guardians 1. So that's 3 against 1, Kevin, and I think that means that
that's okay. My deal breaker, what I would have said would be the tiebreaker, so to speak. Two different things. One is that Guardians 1 has a better villain, and I think that for me,
Ronan is so good. You're right.
For me, who the villain is so important in any of these movies, and I think Ronan's a way better villain than Ego. And
Ronan's one of my favorite villains of all these Marvel movies. I fucking loved him.
And this is important in Guardians of the Galaxy. 1, better soundtrack.
True. Hooked on a feeling.
Right?
So, Kevin, are you sticking with your original rankings?
Listen, hold on. If I was
HK,
to say,
are you sticking with your original rankings?
Fleetwood Mac in Guardians 2. Yes. Guardians
Putney,
2
are you adjusting your rankings?
I think this is between me and you at this point, Bartlett. Would you be willing to flip-flop?
No.
You are not budging on Guardians 2.
So I acknowledge, don't get me wrong, I love both movies. Top 10 ranking for me in this ranking is still phenomenal. We talked about it. Anything above 15 or whatever are great movies. So 10 to 6 is really not too big of a difference to me. It's really just kind of fucking splitting hairs at this point. Listen, I still enjoyed Guardians 2 over Guardians 1 as a movie, as a viewing pleasure.
I liked it. It was really hard to split them up. I almost had them like together, but I tried not to have any like sequels or like any part of a trilogy actually like touching in the ranking. But I mean, the when they actually become the Guardians with the Power Stone to defeat Ronan, that's just like another level of a scene in this series. It's just I have Guardians 7.
All right, I'm willing. Since mine were literally just a digit away from each other, like I can easily flip one over the other because that makes no difference to me because they were so close. So I will willingly give you Guardians 2 in the higher spot than Guardians 1. But I would like to revisit this when we do Falcon and Winter Soldier, when we do Loki.
We're gonna revisit this list.
When we do Black Widow, and if any of us watch these movies again, and we can maybe sway this in a different direction, we'll keep revisiting this.
I'm gonna watch Incredible Hulk.
But
we're gonna relitigate this every time.
Yeah. Anytime any of us has like, you know what? I watched this other movie and I want to bring this out to you guys. Like, well,
plead my case.
So here's the issue you just dilemma. I swapped your 5 and your 4 right now.
We no tie, don't we?
We created another tie.
Let's do it. Let's go. What do we got?
Homecoming?
So we're I gotta type this in the chat real quick. So number 9 will end up being Guardians 1.
Okay.
I'm just gonna shorthand it Guardians 1. Okay.
You're the shorthand man, dog.
So coming in tied for 7, if you will, because we're skipping 8 because of the tie. Comes in with Guardians 2, and now Captain America Winter Soldier.
Oh, so the tiebreaker is you can go fuck yourself that Winter Soldier is better than both Guardians movies.
Thank you!
Yeah.
So I'll just read it off right now. I have Winter Soldier at number 3. Kevin has it at number 8. Putney has it at 10. And HK has Winter Soldier at 14. So
I already know what this is. Like,
I'm
HK
not fucking budging because you just
listen. Winter Soldier is a fantastic action spy, whatever you want to call it, movie. It is 100% so good at what it does. But that's not the type of movie that I would favor as far as Marvel movies go. Like something like Guardians, where it's, I don't know, up in space and there's all these different characters and it's funny and like there's not much humor going on in Captain America Winter Soldier. We're like, not that that's a bad thing, because again, it's so good at what it does, and I understand anyone giving it top 5. Totally back that if that's like what you're after with these movies. Where me, I do want something with a little more lightheartedness and not constantly like tense like that. It's just a matter of preference. It's 100% a matter of preference. But with that being said, I am fully willing. I'm sorry, HK, to put it above Guardians. Like, I totally understand. I totally understand, like, your side of it and the way people love this movie. I back it. I just don't agree completely because of preference, but take it. Absolutely.
So because you already bumped up Guardians to tie with it, I would say that Winter Soldier still wins that tiebreaker.
Oh.
But
yeah, that would make sense.
I have mine so low. Right? This was the one movie that I never saw until watching my full rewatch the end of last year. And I didn't think that it lived up to all the hype that I heard about. I was really upset that all the other Winter Soldiers were just dead. I feel like that could have been, I don't know what, I don't read the comments or comics. I don't know any like Winter Soldier lore, if that's what normally happens, but I feel like it could have been in like a game changer if they introduced all these other Winter Soldiers. I mean, which they're kind of doing now with the super serum, but I don't really have anything else to say about that, but I will vote to put it above Guardians 2 since I got Guardians 2 over Guardians.
It's settled. Coming in number 8, Guardians 2. So Guardians 1, Guardians 2, back-to-back 9 and 8. So as you guys know, number 7 comes in with Winter Soldier. Number 6. And again, surprisingly, I come in the highest at this movie, Black Panther.
Nice.
So I was the highest at 4. Kevin was the lowest at 10. HK at 6. Corey Putney at 8.
This was hard for me. I absolutely love this movie. Everything about it. And it's just everything that I put above it just had, something else. Just that one little thing. Like this one is a 9 and the others were 9.5s to 10. So even this one's a 9.5 and the others were somewhere between 0.6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Mm-hmm. This one, at one point when I was doing my rankings, I had this one at 5, and then I did some fiddling and
same. I think at one point I had mine right around like 5, 6 also, but it's just it got changed up. But yeah, fantastic movie. R.I.P. Chadwick, and it sucks.
Resurrect Killmonger.
All right.
Please do. He's so good.
I would love Michael B. Jordan again. All right,
let's fucking go.
Number 5, we're going back to Queens for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Let's go.
Literally.
I'm happy because I had this at 6, and I love this movie. I love Tom Holland. I love Spider-Man. It's 5, and I'm happy with it.
You had it at 6. I had it at 5. Kevin had it at 2. HK, why did you have it at 13, HK?
Yeah, HK.
The fuck?
What fuck did Spidey ever do? Oh, I like fucking whatever the other Andrew Garfield more.
I don't remember much about his Spider-Man, but I do love that like clock tower Gwen Stacy scene.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Oh, and she just like fucking boop.
This was another one where I struggled to find a place to put it. That's what she said. I don't know. There's some scenes I just didn't really care about. I liked Far From Home a lot more overall.
Where did you have Far From Home ranked on your list?
I had Far From Home at 9 and Homecoming at 13.
Okay,
They're both movies are very like middle of the packed MCU movies for me.
Yeah,
they're really low impact as far as like I don't know.
It's so tough. This is like ranking your children.
Yeah,
which my parents wasn't low impact was that what wasn't low impact was that scene with Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. That was high impact. There was a lot of impact. Actually, no, she didn't like hit the ground. She just kind of like, No,
it was like a force thing. It snapped her neck.
Snaps her neck. Snapped her neck. But she didn't like hit. Doesn't it? I mean?
I'm embarrassed to admit I don't even remember that scene. I don't even know if I saw all the Andrew Garfield.
It's the only scene I remember.
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
But
how many movies was he in?
2.
Just 2.
He was just in 2. Was that the second one?
The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
I might have only seen the first Garfield one. So
it's got that dope skateboarding scene.
Mm-hmm. You ready for number 4, boys?
Oh yeah,
I'm ready. Let's
go. Any other comments on Homecoming? Number 4. No. We're going back to Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm going
to start with this one. I'm not the biggest Thor fan, like I said, but this one was very, very entertaining to me. And I think what it was, half it was off Asgard. It wasn't super Norse mythology built into, the fight with Hulk and that whole thing. And
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Honestly, and the introduction of God, I'm drawing a blank because these beers. What's the girl who plays the Valkyrie?
Valkyrie.
She's great.
She's got a special
Tessa Thompson.
place in my heart. Yeah.
All right. So I'm totally with you here, Bartlett, where it's like this movie got so much hype, and I didn't watch it for the longest time, and I just remember being super, super excited because everyone's talking about how this is one of the best Marvel movies, whatever. And it starts in for the first 45 minutes before Hulk comes into play, it just kind of seemed like a Thor movie to me, and I'm just like, this isn't doing it for me. This is very much just like all the other ones. And then Hulk comes in, and then it all comes together. And once all of that happens, and then the humor starts, and Bruce Banner's out there, and all that.
That mustache.
You want to roast him again for his mustache?
Where did you get that mustache?
I bought it from the mustache store.
He bought it from the mustache store.
Tell him to return it.
Yeah, he should probably return it, right?
What did you call me earlier?
Return your mustache.
She called you an apple tree before.
She called me an apple tree, HK. You missed that. You said, what she called me, a dumb apple tree?
Yeah, it's in my headphones. All right, she's going to bed right now, so.
Good night. Where's your bedroom?
That way.
Yeah, Corey's is that way. Yeah, Bartlett's that way. HK's that way. All
right, HK's in his bedroom.
Are you taking a bath?
Yeah, I sleep in the spare.
So yeah, it's like once it all started to come together, once we got Hulk in the movie,
it became more colorful and fun, in my opinion.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You're good.
I don't know if any of that's going to be editable or what, but she just she knocked and then just walked straight in.
So yeah, it all comes together once Hulk's there. Then the movie turns into like fucking as good as everybody said it was. It is the funniest Marvel movie. It is one of the best Marvel movies. But I have to take that first 45 minutes or so that I was kind of uninterested in into effect, and that's why it kind of sits at 9 for me.
You don't appreciate the whole opening scene?
Yeah.
What was the opening scene again?
The thing with the
With the big
Surtur
guy
and the dragon and like him.
I don't remember his name, but
Surtur. Yeah.
Oh, the
with him and then the dragon.
The actual Ragnarok dude.
But like Taika Waititi's character, Korg, like that probably was really, one of my favorite comic relief characters.
Well,
he's so funny.
Same as Winter Soldier here, where I totally get it being that high, and I'm not mad at it. Number 4. I'm totally okay with it.
Are you mad that he made an appearance in Endgame, but Michael Pena doesn't make an appearance in Endgame?
I think we should all be mad about that.
We should definitely be salty about that.
Real salty.
Justice for Michael.
Yeah.
I had Ragnarok at number 2.
You buoyed this one up for us.
Good, because it deserves to be in the top. Well,
I think there's nothing wrong with that. It was one of the finest Marvel movies. It was
such a ride.
So good.
And I'm absolutely fine with it.
Like I said, I literally ranked my movies based off how much I enjoyed them and how willing I am to rewatch it. And I've watched Thor Ragnarok 2 times in a row before.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So Thor 1, I was like, meh. Thor Dark World, I was like, what the fuck? And then this one actually made it, so I was excited for Love and Thunder, the next one.
Yep. So at this point, we've only got 3 films left. I know what they are based on what's remaining.
Well, 2 films.
2 films in a TV series. So like, what's interesting here is this means that WandaVision's a hard top 3 for us. I like that, boys. So
1,000,000%.
So let's do this real quick, Bartlett. Can you just give us the top 3? And let's just talk about it that way, because clearly we should
probably argue it all together as a whole.
Upper echelon.
All right. In order, 1 to 3?
No, 3, 2, 1. Just give it to us right off the bat.
All right. So right here, number 3. Oh, I got to type that. Number 3, WandaVision.
Okay.
Number 2 is Infinity War.
Yeah.
And number 1, one's across the board for Endgame.
So hold on. Full stop. Whose top 3 was this? Raise your hand.
I had Endgame number 1.
Just me? Okay.
I think we all had Endgame number 1, right?
Yeah, everybody had Endgame at 1.
So yeah, I mean, this was exactly my top. I mean, WandaVision is fucking one of the best, most well-written, most thought-out TV shows I think I've ever seen. Like, I absolutely loved it. I hope there's never going to be another season, which I'm pretty sure there's not going to be. It just exists on its own, and I love it so much. It's probably a 9.8 because I might have like a couple small issues with it, but I just love that it told a different story. I love that there didn't even need to be a villain because it just told this story about love and loss and grief, and it's just so different for Marvel. And like we've talked about throughout all of this, the time we've been sitting here, it's that like I'm not 1,000% just there for the action. That's why Winter Soldier was lower than you guys had it. I'm there for kind of the heart and like these characters in this story, and that's what this show like completely was. And also, it's like this was their first show. Like this was the first time doing it in this way, and I'm loving just like getting to get to know these characters on a deeper level, getting to see them go about their business in a different way rather than just like, you know, scene after scene shortened into 2 hours in a movie. And on top of that, it's like the whole 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like different vibes that you got from these different episodes was genius. And I think they deserve, you know, awards for everything that they accomplished in this show. And the only movies that I put above it were the 2 Avengers movies, because straight up it's just like, those are my 2 favorite superhero movies to exist. I think Thanos is categorized together. Thanos is my favorite villain to ever exist in any movie, more than Joker in The Dark Knight. Like, I just think Thanos just fucking, like, he is that badass character. He does have that like villain energy, and like I would be fucking terrified of this guy. And you know, everything about the movie is just fantastic. The jump in time with the 5 years thing, them just killing him right off in the middle of Endgame and then having to like go back in time and all these other fucking, you know, everything that was done in that movie is just way over my head and over everybody else's head. But I think it worked amazingly. I just think like Endgame is a perfect superhero movie, and Infinity War leading into that gets at the number 2 spot. And it just is what it is.
So I guess I'll go next. Obviously, I had Endgame 1 as well. I did have Infinity War 2 as well. A lot of what you said, you know, whenever you're going to give me an epic climax to a saga like this, they're going to go.
I'll give you an epic climax.
Hey, I was waiting for it. But those are automatically going to shoot towards the top quarter of my rankings just because of the epic climax
shoots to the
top. So. This is where I'm going to get slapped. I actually had WandaVision down at 11
Fuck you.
It still came out at number 3 because math.
All right, guys.
works
I'll
out
see
that
you
way.
later.
Yeah, eat shit, dude.
Again, though, we've talked about it. You know, I absolutely loved WandaVision. Don't get me wrong. The top 10, 12 movies and shows were all basically really close in a tier. But you know me, Putney. I love the action scenes. I love the action of Marvel.
WandaVision was not Fast nor Furious, dude, and you're just like, I need it.
That's why Winter Soldier's at number 3, WandaVision's at 11. But I mean, I could freaking the tides could turn and I could flip them in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? So 3 through 10, well, actually 4 through 10, 4 through 12 could be, you know, jumbled up and I wouldn't even notice, you know?
Did HK freeze on anybody else's screen?
Yeah, he's frozen on mine too.
I'm frozen on my screen. I didn't know what was going on.
I love it. I love the open mouth look you got going on.
All right. I'm not sure what's going to become of this, but let's continue.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be frozen like this.
So,
I think it looks good.
Kevin, anything to say about this top 3?
No, I mean, I just echo a lot of the stuff that you said. I mean, I think Endgame now is the gold standard for comic book movies. Prior to that, it would have been The Dark Knight for me. And that's the only reason I had Infinity War lower, a little bit lower on my list, is that as far as if I'm ranking actual comic book movies, Endgame's number 1, Dark Knight would be number 2. And because I put another movie before that, that kind of bumped Infinity War down for me, which I know is a weird way to think about it because they're not in the same universe even remotely. But I don't, my brain thinks like that sometimes.
And it's like, yo, Avengers Assemble scene. Like, it's a perfect movie. It's just like, if I was to rank just my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, there's multiple things in Endgame that gave me chills. I cried at the end. Like, movies rarely make me feel like that. Like, Corey, remember watching that movie on opening night and how loud our theater was in the portal scene? Yeah. I've now watched a bunch of YouTube clips of people reacting to it. It's just
on Twitter once a week.
Yeah, and I still get that feeling too. I mean, it's just it's crazy.
Like I think we talked about this on Rosemary Radio, Kevin. Like, the blip is my favorite thing to ever happen in the Marvel universe. I think that opens so many doors in so many different stories, and I'm more interested in that story than anything else. Anytime that they dive into that, where they have in Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or even when they, you know, all of WandaVision. Anytime they just like dive into like how this affected these different people and like who got blipped when and when they came back and how their lives changed in between that. We kind of talked about, Kevin, if we had an entire show that was just called The Blip and it was about all these other sub stories that we never got to see. It's just, and this Endgame just doing that is, you know, it's perfect. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. So I agree. Everything. I agree. Love that movie. I don't know if a movie will ever make me feel the way that Endgame did. So I love The Blip too. I love what that's going to do to affect the rest of this universe. I love that every property that comes after this will have to deal with it in one way or another. Like even things like Thor, Love and Thunder, like we'll have to deal with the blip, and we may see what happened to the blip in different realms and things like that. So I think it's going to be really interesting, you know, because obviously what Thanos did took place across the entire universe. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see just, you know, how that works out. I love it.
HK, anything to say about this top 3 before we close this thing out?
Well, I agree. I had WandaVision at number 4. I don't know. Something about Thor Ragnarok. That's just one of my favorite movies of all time now. But WandaVision, well-deserved at number 3, is an awesome series. The whole, you know, every decade. And that, yeah, like you said, this is the first Marvel TV series that we actually got. And Andrew has something to say. It's bugging me.
Before we close out.
Yeah. I also have something to say once we're done with everything here.
I forget this is a feature.
Right, stop it. One at a time. I'll call on each of you. HK, finish what you're saying.
I lost my train of thought as soon as Bartlett had something to say. I mean, you guys pretty much said it all. Infinity War leads into Endgame. They're both great movies. I feel a little impersonal now that I don't have my video up, but
hopefully this all works out. Bartlett, what do you have to say?
Well, I have a quick exercise for the end before we close out, so I'll go last.
Kevin.
All right, well then I did something no one asked me to do and no one really wants. A little side thing for you.
Ooh.
Starting with number 12. X-Men Apocalypse. Number 11, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Number 10, X-Men The Last Stand. Number 9, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Number 8, The Wolverine. Number 7, X-Men First Class. Number 6, Deadpool 2. Number 5, X-Men. Number 4, X2, X-Men United. Number 3, Deadpool. Number 2, X-Men Days of Future Past. And number 1,
Logan.
Yeah. There. Nobody asked me to rank the X-Men movies, but I did it anyway.
I was going to bring that up for like another couple months from now after we did Star Wars. So
no, you didn't spoil shit. I wouldn't have done that. So Bartlett.
It's something I'll never do is X-Men in review.
So real quick, because I'm a stat nerd, I wanted to just run through each one of ours
Crunch Daddy
movie that was either the lowest compared to consensus or the highest. Is that cool? Quick rapid fire.
Go ahead.
I'll start with Kevin, right? He was lowest compared to consensus. He was lowest on Guardians 2 with 13 spots below consensus.
We know that.
He was highest on Iron Man 1, 11 spots over consensus.
Yep.
Cringe.
HK, he was lowest on Spider-Man Homecoming, 8 spots below consensus. He was highest on both Captain America 1 and Thor Dark World, 5 spots over consensus. Corey Putney, you were lowest.
Thor Dark World was only 19.
Corey Putney, you were lowest on both Thor Ragnarok and Doctor Strange, 5 spots below consensus.
That checks out.
But you were highest on Avengers 1. 6 spots over consensus.
Checks out.
And then me, I was 9 spots lower than consensus on Captain America Civil War, but I was 5 spots over on Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Your biggest issue is WandaVision. I don't think I'll ever forgive you for that. There's two things I'll never forgive you for: WandaVision and that goddamn mustache on your head.
Goatee, honey.
The last few days leading up, I've been staring at these rankings, and I'm like, 11 is too low on WandaVision. 11 is too low on WandaVision.
You had the list. You had all of our rankings, and you knew this, and you didn't fix it.
That's also why I didn't fix it, because I didn't want to be biased to your rankings.
That's fair. I actually respect that. And also, it was never going to go anywhere higher than 3 anyways, so it's like yours didn't affect
it wasn't going to affect anything, but...
HK.
I almost had WandaVision a lot lower, actually, because of all the theories that were going around on Twitter. Like, is Mephisto going to be in this movie? Are X-Men going to be brought into this universe during this series? So I almost ranked it lower because of the quote unquote letdown, even though the series was not a letdown at all.
Right.
So I feel like the internet kind of overhyped it, but I didn't let it get it to me.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier can pay us back because they said there's an Oscar-winning actor playing a character that hasn't showed up before.
Don't do it to yourself.
I'm not going to do it to myself.
It's just Paul Bettany again.
Hey.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's probably just Vision.
We'll be back in a couple weeks. We'll talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and whether or not Kevin was disappointed, and we'll have another discussion about which is better, Guardians or Guardians 2. And maybe and then if it's a domino effect, or if that changes, then we got to look at fucking Winter Soldier again, and then it's a whole thing. But whatever. That's it, everyone.
I had a question for you guys.
Oh shit, please.
I know with my no video you can't tell.
It's very hard.
Do we have a little bit of time?
You go for it.
It's not a lot of time, but I wanted to ask if you had to pick one scene from the entire MCU, and don't give me I can't pick between this and this. One scene from the MCU that just that's the scene that gives
Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
fucking easy. Fucking Captain catches Mjolnir and just says Avengers Assemble. No, that's hands down.
HK, do you have a different scene? And is it in Thor Ragnarok?
Wait, no, hang on. I was trying to think. Is the scene where he catches Mjolnir? That's not the same scene, is it? Where he catches Mjolnir and then says Avengers Assemble?
Kind of the same sequence. He catches Mjolnir not for the first time, but he they all come through the
Avengers
portals.
Assembles after portals open.
Yeah. All the portals.
Just that whole scene together.
The shot.
That whole
Steve catching
that's a
Mjolnir.
scene.
The beats go exactly like this because I've watched it like 37 times.
Right.
It's like he says, "Avengers, shunk."
Oh, you froze. Your video froze.
Oh fuck!
Oh no, it didn't for me. It didn't for me. You're good.
It worked.
Okay, good.
As long as it's the whole scene, I couldn't remember. I thought Mjolnir was like in a different part.
Yeah,
no, the part where he first catches it, like, is when Thanos is beating the shit out of Thor, and he drops Mjolnir, and then Cap picks it up and beats the shit.
And it kind of like hits him in the shoulder and like brushes by him, and you don't know where it's going to, and then he catches it.
There's a quick scene where you see Thor like, "Whoa, he caught it!"
Yeah.
Whoa,
because he knew he was worthy. He knew he was worthy.
Then he tries to take on. Then he tries to take on Thanos by himself and gets his ass kicked, and then the portal's open, isn't it?
I didn't mention that. That was a big part of Ragnarok too. Is the whole Stormbreaker.
And then you get on your left.
That was kind of cool in my opinion.
That doesn't happen in Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's
Infinity War. It's Infinity War.
Or Infinity War. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Remember in Ragnarok?
No, in Ragnarok is when he like started to really
gets broken.
Yeah.
And then he finds out he can
that's when
use the power of thunder without the hammer.
I don't know why they always say power of thunder when it's electricity.
I know, it's definitely lightning. Yeah.
That's why he's a Stormbreaker. So my scene is in the same scene. Well, at the end of the whole battle, but it's not even when Tony says I am Iron Man, but it's literally the moment when Thanos realizes that he doesn't have like the gauntlet with the stones on it, like that look of defeat on his face. Oh, I'm getting chills talking about it.
Yeah.
And then
Nips and Dick.
Yep. There you go.
I think a close second scene for me is the Ravager funeral for Yondu. That scene.
Yeah.
That scene. Them feels, man. Them feels.
So that's all I got.
That's it.
Everyone for Yondu.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you again when we update this list to include Falcon and the Winter Soldier. In the meantime, check out www.rosemary.media for everything else that we do. Click on that store link over on the far right. Buy some merch. Listen to all of our other podcasts, and let us know in the comments how much you hate our rankings, and give us yours as well. Fuck you. We love you. Peace.